I never thought I would run into an operating room screaming my husband's name. But that morning everything inside me was trembling. My heart, my hands, even the breath in my chest. The hallway was cold. Too quiet. Too empty for a hospital that was usually full of noise. And that silence. It told me something was wrong. Kept running. My shoes echoed on the floor, my mind racing faster than my feet. Someone had called me earlier, a quiet voice I didn't recognize telling me, "Come to the hospital. Your husband is in danger." My whole body went cold. I didn't question anything. I grabbed my keys and rushed there, terrified of losing him. But I didn't know the truth. I didn't know the call was fake. I didn't know someone wanted me there. I didn't know I was walking straight into a trap. As I pushed open the double doors leading to the OR hallway, I felt a strange heaviness in the air. Like the air itself didn't want me to enter. And heard footsteps, fast ones. I turned the corner and saw a nurse, pale, shaking, looking over her shoulder like someone was chasing her. Before I could speak, she grabbed my arm with both hands. Her voice was barely a whisper, but her fear hit me like a punch. "Stop. Don't go in there. It's a trap." My entire body froze. A trap. In the operating room. Who would set a trap in a hospital? My throat tightened. "What do you mean? Where is my husband? They told me he was hurt." She shook her head violently. Her eyes were wide, full of panic and something else. Guilt. "Please," she said. "You can't walk through those doors. You don't understand what they're doing." Not he. Not she. Group. Plan. Set up. My heartbeat hammered faster. What's happening? Who's inside? Her hands trembled harder. "You weren't supposed to come today. You weren't supposed to see this. He told them you'd never show up." Pulled my arm away. "Who told them?" She swallowed. Then she looked toward the OR doors. Slowly. Fearfully. And when I followed her gaze, my whole world cracked. Because through the small glass window in the OR door, just for a second, I saw a familiar face. My husband. Standing there. Not hurt. Not sick. Not dying. Just standing there. Watching the door. Watching me. His expression wasn't scared. It wasn't relieved. It wasn't confused. It was something I had never seen before on his face. Cold. Calculated. Prepared. Like he knew I was coming. Like he had been waiting. Like everything, every phone call, every lie, every moment led to this. And right then, something inside me whispered, "This is not an accident. This is a betrayal." People always said my husband, Daniel, was one of the good men. Calm, polite, successful. He worked as a senior surgeon, respected by everyone in the hospital. Patients adored him. Nurses trusted him. Administrators praised him. I loved him. For 7 years, I believed I married a man built from kindness. Someone who would protect me. Someone who would never hurt me. But I didn't know that love can be the most effective disguise a liar wears. Looking back, the signs were there. Small cracks in the perfect mask he showed the world. The late-night calls. The sudden distance. The way he'd pull away when I asked questions. But each time he had an explanation. Hospital emergency. Patient complications. Just tired. And I believed him. Because trust blinds you before betrayal opens your eyes. That morning before the phone call, everything seemed normal. He left early for work, kissing me on the forehead like he always did. "Get some rest," he said. "You've been working too hard." He smiled, the kind of smile that made me feel safe. If only I had known that hours later, that same smile would become the reason my entire world shattered. The fake phone call came around noon. A trembling voice saying, "Your husband. He's been in an accident. They're prepping surgery. Come fast." My heart dropped. I couldn't breathe. I didn't even ask who the caller was. I just ran. I drove so fast I don't remember the roads. I remember only the panic. The fear of losing him. But none of it was real. Someone wanted me to arrive scared, confused, desperate. Someone wanted me off balance. Someone wanted me to walk into that operating room without thinking. But why? What could my husband gain by luring me to his workplace under a lie? What could he possibly want that required a trap? As I stood in that empty hallway, the nurse's warning echoing in my ears, those questions burned through me like fire. I turned to her, my voice shaking. Please, tell me what's happening. Why would someone do this? Her eyes filled with something heavy. Sorrow, regret, maybe fear for herself. You shouldn't have come, she whispered. He said he would handle everything today, before you found out. Found out what? Asked. She opened her mouth to answer. But the doors suddenly clicked. Both of us jerked toward the sound. The window in the door fogged for a moment. Someone was moving inside. My breath caught. My pulse slowed. 'Cause I felt it. Presence. A truth waiting on the other side of those doors. The truth about my marriage. The truth about the trap. The truth about why I was really there. The truth that would break me. Change me. Push me into a kind of revenge I never thought I was capable of. And in that moment I realized. I wasn't just a wife who loved her husband. I was a wife who had been targeted. And whatever waited behind that door was meant to destroy me. The doors clicked again, louder this time, as if someone inside wanted me to hear it. The nurse's grip on my arm tightened, but I gently pulled away. I wasn't running anymore. I wasn't panicking. I wasn't even breathing properly. I was listening. And behind that door, I heard something I wasn't prepared for. Laughter. Not loud, not joyful, but soft, controlled. Like someone trying not to be caught smiling. Every hair on my body stood up. My husband never laughed in his not during surgeries, not before, not after. It was the one place he was always serious. Yet here he was, amused. Cold chill ran up my spine. What's going on in there? I whispered. The nurse swallowed hard, her eyes darting toward the exit at the end of the hall. I shouldn't say anything. If they find out. They. I repeated. It was the second time she used that word. It bothered me more than the fear in her voice. I stepped closer to her. You grabbed my arm. You warned me. That means you're not part of this. Please, tell me the truth. She hesitated. Then she whispered. You need to know he's not the man you think he is. Her words struck me harder than the phone call earlier. What are you talking about? She looked down at her shoes, guilt flooding her face. He's been planning something for months. Something involving you. And the hospital. The hallway suddenly felt smaller, darker, suffocating. What kind of plan? She didn't answer. Instead, she pointed toward a door across the hallway. A small office with blinds half closed. Go inside, she said quietly. If you want to see the truth, check his file. My husband's file. She nodded weakly. You were never supposed to see it. But before I could take a step, the door pushed open slightly. Just enough for a shadow to stretch across the floor. And then I heard his voice. Daniel. Said he. Like he was starting a meeting, not standing in the middle of a trap he set for me. Is she here yet? My heart slammed against my ribs. He was talking about me. Waiting for me. The nurse stiffened. She looked like she wanted to run, but her feet were glued to the floor. A second voice joined him. A woman's voice. Confident. Dark. Cold. She should be here any minute. The call was made. Call. The fake emergency call. My vision blurred for a moment. Daniel spoke again. She'll come rushing. She always does. And when she does, we'll finally have what we need. What they need. There was more than one person involved. And they were waiting for me like a piece of evidence. Like an object. Like a pawn in a game I didn't know I was playing. The woman inside the asked. And you're sure she won't suspect anything? Daniel chuckled softly. The same quiet laugh I heard earlier. She never suspects. She trusts too easily. A breath escaped my lips. Shaky, cold, wounded. The nurse grabbed my hand, her own trembling just as badly. "You need to go," she whispered, "before he sees you." But I didn't leave. I didn't run. Not anymore. Something inside me shifted, a quiet, burning anger rising from somewhere deep. I wasn't a scared wife anymore. I was a woman who realized she had been deceived. Played. I straightened my back, wiped my tears, and asked the nurse, "Show me the file." She hesitated, but then she nodded. And together we stepped toward the office, not knowing that what I would find in that file would hurt more than anything behind that door. The nurse led me to the small office across the hallway. Her hand shook as she pushed the door open. Inside, the lights were off, the blinds halfway closed, shadows stretching like long fingers across the desk. "This is his office," she whispered. I stepped inside slowly. The air smelled faintly of disinfectant and something else. Something metallic, cold, sterile. My stomach twisted. This was where my husband spent most of his nights. This was where he told me he was finishing paperwork. This was where he said he was helping patients. I never imagined it would also be the place where he hid his secrets. The nurse walked to the cabinet in the corner. She unlocked it using a key she took from her pocket. "How do you have that?" I asked. Her eyes lowered. "I shouldn't. But I had to know what he was doing. Something felt wrong for weeks." She pulled out a thin folder labeled with my name. Name. Not his. Not a patient's. My breath caught in my throat. "Why does my husband have a file on me?" I whispered. She gently handed it to me. "You need to see it." My fingers trembled as I opened the folder. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. There were bank statements, insurance policies, copies of my signature on documents I had never seen before, forms, approvals, consents, all of them forged, all of them connected to me, all of them dangerous. Each page cut into me deeper and deeper, until I reached the final sheet. It was a legal document. An updated medical insurance policy naming Daniel as the sole beneficiary. But the policy wasn't the worst part. The date was. It had been updated 1 week ago. The same week he started acting overly kind, overly attentive, as if afraid I might notice something. My hands went numb. "He did this," I whispered. "He planned this." The nurse's voice trembled. "He and Dr. Foster have been talking for weeks. Late nights, closed doors. They stopped every time someone walked by." "Dr. Foster," I repeated. "The woman inside the oar," she said. Female voice. The one who asked if I would suspect anything. My stomach twisted as the truth collided inside my mind. Daniel didn't lure me here because he was in danger. Daniel didn't call me because he needed help. Daniel wanted me here. Scared, shaken, unsteady. Why? So I would sign something. So I would be manipulated into agreeing to something dangerous. So I could be blamed for something. Or worse. I felt my knees weaken. Was he planning to make it look like something happened to me in there? I whispered. The nurse's silence was my answer. I pressed my shaking hands against the desk, trying to breathe. Trying to understand how the man I loved, the man I married, the man I trusted, could plan something so cruel. Why? Money. Freedom. Someone else. A secret life. Or was this about more than money? My vision blurred as a memory flashed. A week ago. Daniel arguing on the phone. A woman's voice through the speaker. Whispers about timing, documents, and she can't find out. I had brushed it off then. I wasn't brushing anything off now. The nurse placed a hand on my back. "There's more you need to know." I turned toward her slowly. Her face was pale, frightened. Almost as if she feared speaking the next words. Finally, she whispered. "Your husband isn't just planning something for today. He's been preparing for months. He wanted you to walk into that, or because he needed you out of the way." The words hit me like a collapsing ceiling. "Out of the way for what?" I asked. The nurse opened her mouth. But before she could speak, Daniel's voice echoed down the hallway. "She's here. I can feel it." The nurse gasped, and my world slipped into silence. Because I realized something terrifying. He wasn't waiting for me to fall into a trap. He was coming to get me. The moment I heard Daniel's voice echo through the hallway, the nurse's eyes widened with terror. "He's coming," she whispered. "You need to hide." But something inside me changed. Moments earlier, I was a woman shaking with fear. A wife who felt blindsided, shattered, betrayed. But now I felt something rising inside me. Slow, sharp, and steady. Not fear. Not panic. Clarity. I straightened my back. "No," I whispered. "I'm done hiding from him." The nurse grabbed my wrist. "You don't understand. If he finds you, he'll force you into that or. They already prepared everything. You were supposed to panic. You were supposed to sign those papers without thinking. You were supposed to be their easy target." Easy target. That phrase cut deeper than any document in that file. I had been many things in my life. Forgiving, trusting, soft-hearted, but never weak. What exactly were they planning to do to me? Yes. She swallowed hard. Dr. Foster forged a consent form. They planned to tell you had a medical emergency and needed immediate surgery. Once you agreed. Her voice dropped. You'd never wake up. My chest tightened. Cold fire spread through my veins. So they could collect the insurance money, she continued, her voice trembling. Daniel said it would be clean and painless. A perfect exit. I closed my eyes for a moment. 7 years of my life. 7 years of loyalty. 7 years of building a home, sharing meals, planning a future. And Daniel was willing to erase me for paperwork and money. When I opened my eyes again, the world looked different. I wasn't a wife anymore. I was a woman standing on the edge of betrayal and preparing to step into revenge. I turned to the nurse. What's your name? She blinked, surprised. Melissa. Melissa, do you want to help me stop him? Her breath caught. I could lose my job for this. You could lose much more if he gets away with this, I said softly. You said you already felt something was wrong. You came to me. You warned me. That means you're on the right side of this story. She didn't answer immediately. But then she nodded. Okay, she whispered. Tell me what to do. Footsteps echoed closer. Daniel's footsteps. Slow, confident, purposeful. I moved fast. Turn off the lights, I whispered. Close the blinds. Melissa rushed to the switch. Darkness swallowed the office. Only a thin line of hallway light slipped in under the door. I stepped behind the file cabinet, taking all the documents with me. If Daniel wanted them hidden, I wanted them exposed. Is there another way out? I whispered. Melissa pointed to a tiny maintenance door behind the filing cabinet. That leads to the storage hallway, she said. Nobody uses it. Perfect. The footsteps grew louder. Daniel was seconds away from the office. I leaned close to Melissa. Here's what we're going to do. You go back into the hallway. Tell him you didn't see me. Tell him you checked the bathrooms. She shook her head nervously. I'm not a good liar. You don't need to lie, I said, my voice calm. Just don't tell the truth. She hesitated. But then she exhaled and nodded. She slipped out of the office quietly, leaving the door cracked just an inch. I crouched behind the cabinet, silent, hidden, listening. A moment later, Daniel's voice filled the hallway like a storm. Where is she? Melissa answered, voice trembling but steady enough. I didn't see her. Maybe she left. Daniel scoffed. She wouldn't leave. She's here. I know she's here. His voice grew sharper. Keep looking. She's not going anywhere. I smiled in the dark. He was right about one thing. I wasn't going anywhere. Not until I destroyed every lie he built. Not until the trap he set became his downfall. I stayed crouched behind the filing cabinet, listening to Daniel's voice inch closer and closer. His footsteps were slow, controlled. The same calm rhythm he used when walking into a patient's room. Except this time, he wasn't walking toward a patient. He was hunting his wife. I gripped the folder tighter. Every forged signature, every stolen document, every lie. These were going to destroy him, and he didn't even know it yet. I waited until his voice drifted away again, barking orders at someone down the hallway. That was my moment. I slipped through the maintenance door and into the narrow storage corridor behind the office. The air was thick with the smell of cleaning chemicals and old cardboard. Dim lights flickered overhead. But shadows were my advantage now. I moved quietly, hugging the wall, listening for any sign that he was doubling back. Nothing. I reached the end of the corridor, where a metal utility door opened into a supply room right across from the ore. Perfect. Because I needed to see everything with my own eyes. I cracked the supply room door open an inch. And what I saw inside the ore made my blood freeze. Daniel, smiling, standing close, too close to Dr. Foster. Their shoulders touched. Their voices were low. Their posture, familiar. And then she laughed. A soft, intimate laugh that said everything without words. My heart didn't break this time. No, it hardened. Dr. Foster picked up a clipboard. "Do you think your wife fell for the call?" she asked. Daniel smirked. "She always falls for everything. That's why this is easy." My teeth clenched. The woman who once promised to love me was mocking me to his mistress. Minutes before killing me for insurance money. Dr. Foster flipped through the forged consent forms. "All we need is her signature. Then everything goes forward. Are you sure you can get her into the ore?" Daniel stepped closer to her. "I'll get her anywhere I want." Melissa, standing nearby, looked like she might faint. But Daniel didn't notice. He was too busy planning my disappearance like it was a routine surgery. Then, as if fate wanted to twist the knife deeper, Dr. Foster reached up and straightened Daniel's lab coat. He didn't pull away. My vision went sharp, focused, cold. They thought I was scared. They thought I was trapped. They thought they controlled the story. They were wrong. Pulled out my phone. For the last several minutes, I had been recording everything. Their plan. Their confessions. Their affair. Their insurance scheme. Every word captured. And now, it was time to expose them. I stepped out of the supply room, deliberately, making sure my footsteps were loud enough to echo. Melissa gasped softly. Daniel and Dr. Foster froze. Slowly, both of them turned their heads toward the hallway. Daniel's face went white. Dr. Foster's eyes widened. And for the first time I saw something new in their expressions. Not confidence. Not cruelty. Not cunning. Fear. I walked forward calmly, my phone still recording, the folder under my arm. "Looking for me?" "Yes." Daniel swallowed hard. "Honey, this isn't." "Don't," I said sharply. "Don't call me that." Dr. Foster stepped back. Daniel tried to smile, but it came out twisted, broken. "What are you doing here?" "What you told them," I said. "I never suspect anything. I trust too easily." His jaw clenched. "But today." I lifted my phone. I listened. I clicked the screen, replaying his own voice through the speakers. "She always falls for everything. That's why this is easy." Daniel froze. His face drained of color. Dr. Foster stumbled backward, bumping into a tray. Melissa covered her mouth with both hands. I kept walking toward them, not fast, not angry, just steady. "You wanted me in the ore," I said. "Now I'm here." Daniel opened his mouth, but I cut him off. "And I'm not leaving. Until the whole hospital hears the truth." The moment my phone replayed Daniel's voice through the hallway, the entire atmosphere in the ore shifted. The confidence drained from his face like someone punctured it. He looked at me with a mixture of disbelief and panic, as if he couldn't understand how his plan had slipped out of his hands so quickly. Dr. Foster stepped away from him as if distance might save her. It wouldn't. I took another step forward, slow and controlled. "You lied to me," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "For months. Maybe longer." Daniel held up both hands like I was the one being unreasonable. "Let's talk about this somewhere private." "No," I snapped. Everything you did was behind closed doors. This time we talk in the open. I turned toward Melissa. Call hospital security. Melissa hesitated only a second. Then she ran. Dr. Foster's voice broke the silence. You're misunderstanding. This is all a mix-up. A mix-up? I laughed sharply. You forged my signature. Her face tightened. And you, I said, turning to Daniel. You updated my insurance policy. Signed my name. Planned everything like I was a business transaction. Daniel stepped closer. Too close, but I didn't move. You don't understand, he said quietly. We were in debt. I was drowning. The hospital was pressuring me. So you tried to erase me. Cut in. He closed his eyes for a second, jaw trembling. Then he whispered. I didn't want to hurt you. I stared at him with a cold smile. But you were willing to. He opened his mouth again. But that's when security arrived. 2 guards rushed into the OR, followed by the hospital director, who looked confused and alarmed. What is going on here? The director demanded. I raised my phone. I have recordings of a planned insurance fraud. I have forged documents with my name on them. I have evidence that my husband and your doctor, I glanced at Foster, were planning to submit illegal paperwork and manipulate a patient consent process. The director's eyes widened. Security immediately stepped forward to take Daniel's arm. He panicked. Wait, this is all a mistake. You can't arrest me. I'm the head surgeon. But the guards didn't listen. They grabbed him by both arms. Dr. Foster tried to slip out the back door, but another guard blocked her way. You're not going anywhere, he said. She froze, breathing heavily. I looked directly at her. You planned every detail with him. You thought you were smarter than everyone. But you didn't plan for me to fight back. Her lips trembled. She said nothing. The director turned to Melissa. Is all this true? Melissa swallowed nervously but nodded. I saw everything. And I warned her because I couldn't be part of it. The director took a deep breath, then said to security, escort them both to my office. And call the police. Daniel's face collapsed, fear replacing every ounce of arrogance. As they pulled him away, he turned toward me one last time. Please, he begged. Don't do this. Can fix everything. I just made a mistake. I shook my head. No. You made a choice. His eyes filled with tears, not of regret, but of a man losing control. He was dragged out of the OR, yelling my name, begging, swearing he could explain. But there was nothing left to explain. Dr. Foster followed next, silent and pale, her career crumbling with every step. Melissa approached me carefully. Are you okay? I took a deep breath. I don't know, I admitted. But I'm free. And it was true. For the first time since the fake phone call. For the first time in months. I felt the weight lift off my chest. I wasn't trapped. I wasn't powerless. I wasn't his victim. I was the woman who survived his betrayal and ended it. The director stepped closer. Whatever you need, he said. The hospital will cooperate fully. I nodded, holding the folder close. I would need this evidence. Not for revenge anymore. But for justice. Because what Daniel tried to do wasn't just betrayal. It was erasing a life. And I wasn't going to let him erase mine. When the hospital finally quieted and the chaos faded into long, empty hallways, I stepped outside. The sky was turning orange. Sunrise or sunset, I wasn't sure. Time had become blurry. What I did know was simple. I had walked into that building terrified and blind. And walked out stronger than I ever thought possible. 4 days afterward, I replayed everything in my mind. The fake phone call. The nurse grabbing my arm. The forged documents. The laughter coming from behind the OR door. Daniel's voice mocking my trust. His calm plan to erase me. Every detail cut deep. But strangely, the pain didn't break me. Shape me. People often talk about betrayal like it's a moment. A single event that shatters your world. But that's not true. Betrayal is a slow build. Pattern. A story written behind your back, one lie at a time. And the worst part. You never see it until the ending. But here's what I learned. The ending doesn't belong to the person who betrayed you. It belongs to the person who survived it. When the police arrested Daniel and Dr. Foster, I thought I'd feel victorious. But what I felt instead was relief. Relief that I didn't ignore my instincts. Relief that I found the courage to face the truth. Relief that I didn't walk into that and become the victim he expected. I thought I had lost everything. My marriage, my trust, the man I once loved. But I didn't lose myself. Found myself. And sometimes that's the real victory. Since that day, I've learned to listen to the quiet things. The doubts, the small warnings, the gut feelings we often push aside. Because the truth is simple. The heart knows when something is wrong, even when the mind refuses to see it. I don't know why Daniel chose greed over love. I don't know when he stopped seeing me as his partner and started seeing me as his escape route. And I don't need those answers anymore. What matters is that I walked away. Not broken. Not defeated. Wiser. Stronger. Unshakable. In the end, betrayal didn't define me. Revenge didn't consume me. Justice didn't change me. Clarity did. And now, whenever I look in the mirror, I see a woman who didn't freeze when she discovered the truth. I see a woman who fought back. I see a woman who survived. That, not the betrayal, not the trap, not the lies, is the story I choose to carry with me.